So imagine you're trying to heat this massive, drafty, 100-year-old coastal hotel during like a really bitter Mediterranean winter.
Oh, yeah. And all while the sea salt is just, slowly eating away at the foundation, right?
Exactly, yeah. That impossible math is, well, it's exactly why the iconic resorts of the Italian Riviera are currently facing the wrecking ball. Welcome to the deep dive.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
Today we're looking at a stack of architectural briefs, municipal zoning reports, and research on this newly completed 21 million euro project called 17 Sudi4 Varigotti.
Which is just a fascinating case study, honestly.
It really is. Okay, let's unpack this. Our mission today is exploring this massive structural and economic shift happening on the coast right now, and what it means for you and the future of these historic towns.
Because what's really fascinating here is if you look at the municipal reports, this isn't just one isolated failure. I mean, it's a macroeconomic shift.
Yeah.
For decades, this coastline relied entirely on these massive legacy hotels. But the operational shocks of the pandemic, combined with just astronomical upkeep costs.
Right, it practically wiped them out.
Exactly. So abandoned sites like the old Hotel Plaza, which is actually where the new Varigotti project now sits, or the famous Il Covo nightclub, they're being completely demolished.
Wow. And it makes complete sense when you think about the structural reality, right? Those old coastal hotels, they were built like massive brick sponges.
Yeah, just soaking everything up.
They really did. They absorbed sea moisture, the internal plumbing was archaic, and repairing that sheer square footage just became this, massive financial sinkhole.
It's like trying to maintain a giant gas-guzzling vintage car. Nostalgic, sure, but financially impossible to run today.
That's a great analogy. So you have these developers stepping in, buying up these dead properties, and pivoting to low-density luxury homes targeted at wealthy buyers driving down from Milan and Turin.
And they are specifically targeting brownfield sites, which, for those of you wondering, a brownfield is just land that has already been developed but isn't in use anymore.
So they're recycling the existing footprint to save untouched land?
Exactly.
But okay, building ultra-luxury real estate right on the water presents a huge physical challenge. The weather is brutal.
Oh, absolutely.
So looking at the architectural specs from Studio Baffa Patron and Partners, I noticed they skipped the standard synthetic thermal insulation jackets entirely.
Which seems counterintuitive at first, right?
Yeah. Wait, no synthetic thermal insulation jacket? Isn't that asking for a damp, freezing apartment?
You'd think so. But here's the thing. If you wrap a coastal building in synthetic plastic, you're actually just trapping the sea humidity inside the wall.
Oh, wow. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, trapped moisture is the absolute enemy on the Mediterranean. It causes micro cracks and coastal mold, which just accelerates the structural decay.
So what did they use instead?
They used a highly specific material. It's a 48-centimeter thick Ytong Climagold aerated concrete.
Okay.
It functions as a single-layer structural block system.
Meaning the wall holds up the building and insulates it all by itself without needing, extra layers slapped on the outside.
Right. It's packed with these microscopic air cells. This means the building naturally breathes.
That's incredible.
It lets internal humidity escape while still providing incredible thermal resistance against both the winter cold and the summer heat. Plus, because of its mineral composition, it naturally sequesters 70 kilograms of CO2 per cubic meter.
Wait, really? Over its lifespan?
Exactly.
Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting. They figured out how to let the physical building breathe, but to actually get the permits to build it, they had to breathe life back into the local town economy.
Yes. We could connect this to the bigger picture. The municipal zoning reports detail this model called surcharged urbanization fees.
Right, because the developers wanted to change the site zoning from a commercial hotel to residential apartments.
Exactly. And the local government essentially said, sure, but it's going to cost you a premium.
Which is a highly pragmatic solution. Private luxury actually benefits the everyday local here.
It really does. You have a municipality that lacks the tax base to fund major public works, and private developers who desperately need zoning approval.
So by paying these surcharged fees, the developers directly funded legally earmarked public infrastructure.
Spot on. That private money paid for a brand new sea promenade and the entirely new Piazza del Sole, which was just inaugurated last month on May 8th, 2026.
And what stands out to me is how the public square actually matches the eco-engineering of the private building.
Oh, with the planting choices?
Yeah, they specifically planted drought-resistant cork oaks and carob trees. They're planning for the harsh, shifting climate realities rather than just prioritizing, aesthetic greenery.
And they also brought the region's cultural history into the space to anchor it. The developer commissioned a centerpiece, a metal sculpture by the artist Richie Ferrero called Sand Creek.
Oh, the metal boat, right.
Yeah, the boat. It honors the legendary Genoese songwriter Fabrizio De André. Specifically, it visually captures his lyric, "He shot an arrow into the sky to make it breathe."
Wow. It's a fitting metaphor for the entire development, honestly.
I think it really ties it all together.
So what does this all mean? When you step back and look at the Unreal 24 Varigotti project, it provides a really successful blueprint for how a region can navigate the collapse of its legacy hotel industry.
Absolutely. It proves you can combine sustainable, climate-resistant engineering with civic art and infrastructure.
Which leaves you with a really important question to ponder as we wrap up today.
Right. If private luxury developers can effectively fund and build better public promenades and climate-adapted squares, then cash-strapped local governments can manage on their own.
Yeah.
Should these surcharged private-public partnerships become the mandatory standard for saving all of our aging coastal tourist cities?